Hey everyone, Clinton Will here with Ambush Week 34. As always, Will's with me. Will, how you going this week?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Clint.
That's awesome. Okay, so one thing I've noticed is that we always say 15 minutes and we end up going to about 30 minutes. So I think we are going to start calling this the 15 to 30 minute-ish podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, just the roundabout podcast. Just
The
the We've Got Some Time podcast.
the We've Got Some Time podcast. That sounds perfect to me.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump straight into it though. Destiny news this week. FFG dropped the news article "Way of the Light" with the quarter three or season three, whatever they call it now, 2018 organized play kit. In this kit, we have got a full art Way of the Light, a full art Darksaber, and the 3 damage resource tokens. Initial thoughts on the kit, Will?
I think it looks really good. I think the Way of the Light art is the real standout piece. The Darksaber full art is just like a full art version of what you have on the card, so I was sort of like initially excited, and then I was like, oh, but I guess it's just kind of looks like the original card. And the damage tokens, everyone collects those at some point, right? I think they look good. They're much easier to read than the regionals ones.
Yeah, those regionals ones are really, really bad.
Yeah, Maddie and I collected like 2 full sets between us, and like
Wow.
some more, and it's just like we use them and we apologize because they are so hard to read.
I actually haven't collected any damage tokens this year, or those. I really like those green shields, but I haven't gotten around to actually. Every time I think I've managed to get out to a store, the seasonal kits haven't been in or something like that, and then I think the one that I did attend, I think I just did really, really bad.
Damn.
But that's all right. I think they're so common now. They're easy to pick up off eBay for super cheap. Like you can pick the full kits off eBay for like $30.
Yeah.
So it's not too bad. Yeah, I have to agree. Way of the Light, that old art looks awesome. And that full art Darksaber makes me want to try and play Darksaber in a deck, just to go, hey, I've got this awesome full art Darksaber card.
Yeah, I've been playing the promo holdouts and the promo quick draws in my Cassian Yoda, and like you just feel super boss, right? You've got your spicy full art promos or alternate art promos, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, play my promo holdout.
Yeah, yeah.
It just feels cool.
Yeah, it does. I have to admit, my favorite, I think the promos went downhill a little bit, because we had, obviously in last year we had, like that Electroshock alt art, which was awesome, the Guard alt art, which was awesome.
The best defense, which was good as well.
Yeah, that was from the Store Champs last year.
Yeah.
But the Django Fett was also really cool as well.
The Jango Fett and the Finn.
Yeah, but no one plays Finn.
Yeah, that was disappointing, but it's a great artwork.
It was a great alt art. And I think at that time, and like a lot of people, they were probably just going to try and get the tokens over the exclusive alt arts.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, that Way of the Light card is pretty cool, and I will be purposely slotting at least that into any of my decks as a one of. Just because it's a cool card, and it's actually a really good card. Like we were talking before the show, like what this card hits, and it hits a good like 2/3 of cards.
Yeah,
and big damage hittings
of dice cards.
Yeah, like planetary bombardment, all those big supports that people are playing in Snoke Thrawn decks or just villain decks in general, like. $1, I'm going to remove your 7 indirect planetary bombardment die.
Yeah, and even against melee decks or like more prolific decks, like just melee or guns decks, like removes holdouts, removes ancients, removes Relbys, or the LL30 blaster pistol and stuff like that. Shotos, if I didn't say Shotos before, like it removes almost everything.
Get rid of that Dagger of Mortis, so you save yourself a shield, and yeah, it's actually a pretty good card. At the moment, it's probably not super good with all the hero mill floating around.
Yeah. Because the most important dice in that deck are the Pod Racer dice, which is a hero dice, and the Yoda dice, which is a hero dice.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, that was my initial thoughts. Your initial thoughts. Overall, we think it's 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I think there has been a little bit of complaining about price support from the community. And I think while obviously this is just it's just another quarterly kit, it's not going to make any big changes. Something we keep a little bit of tabs on at Bondi is the fact that probably 99% of the promos so far have been from just from Awakenings. So there's been heaps and heaps of promos from Awakenings. Obviously, Guard is from Spirit of Rebellion, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Then there was a few character promos like the Ahsoka that recently came out, but this is an entire kit that doesn't have an Awakenings promo in it. So
yeah, that as cool as the Force Speed alt art is.
Oh yeah, Force Speed's Spirit as well.
It's such, and the Ahsoka store champs first and second place, as awesome as they are, they should have done that last year.
Definitely.
What was it last year? It was the Phasma, wasn't it?
Yeah. And to be fair, Phasma turned out to be a quite stable character for a long time. But yeah,
even up until regional season, wasn't it? It was still being played at regional. I think I faced 2 of them at the regionals last year when I was playing Qui-Gon Kanan.
I played the same guy twice, playing Phasma. He was quite strong, and it's just it's one of those decks that just sort of had the staying power, right?
It's a shame that deck can't come back. I would have thought that with the new Super Commandos and with a Battle Droid, that deck would have gotten a bit of a power boost. But
maybe it does.
I think I've been reading somewhere, and people have been trying to make it work, and it just makes people sad. I think just Guardian is a little bit less relevant at the moment.
Yeah, maybe. It screwed me in some training games last night. I was playing the Plo Padawans deck, and I took my own battlefield, but then I was playing against Rex, and 3-wide Rex list, just removing all my base sides. Frustrating. But let's move on, I think.
Let's move on anyway. This is what happens. We get distracted and we get stuck. All right. So, you got in touch with the winner of the Greenlight Comics store champ winner from Adelaide, and we've got his deck list here. Christian, I believe his name was, and he was running a 3-wide villain support deck with Elite Snoke, Rebel Trader, and Firmus Piet. So, did you have any thoughts on that deck? How you wanted to break it down?
Yeah, well, shout out to Christian for giving me a really good sort of impromptu interview yesterday just over Facebook while I was at work and he was at uni. Real top guy, just sort of sent me his thoughts over the day as I probed him with aggressively difficult questions. But I thought it was, a pretty good list. We'll post it with the show, I guess. I thought, it's got the sort of 4 upgrade suite of Chance Cube and Force Illusion, which I think is, pretty standard. A lot of people run that. The Chance Cube's there for obvious ramp, and then also the mill protection. And then he's got a 12 upgrade or a 12 support suite, which interestingly didn't include Tech Team, which I thought would be sort of just like a must-have, but I guess this deck has so much ramp without Tech Team that you don't really need it. And then a whole lot of removal. A whole lot of removal.
Yeah. I'm just looking through this. Okay, so his ramp pieces are friends in high places and Delve,
And the Snoke ability.
and the Snoke ability. So yeah, so you've got, and then if you get a round one chance cube, you're more than likely to hit that focus on Snoke.
Yeah.
To auto focus that to 3. Yeah. Okay, so like his round one setup, he'd probably most likely be looking for chance cube. He'd be possibly looking for a delve.
Yeah, I think Delve is one of those sort of enablers that if you can play at turn 1 to play a bombardment for free, then that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Obviously, bombardment gets better as the game goes on, but just having that dice from turn 1 is fantastic as well.
And then even if he can focus a chance cube to a 3, Snoke another 3 off Firmus or Rebel Trader, and then you've got the Weapons Factory Alpha. You can... What's Planetary Bombardment? 7 cost?
Yep, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get that. You can drop that Planetary Bombardment round 1. I would probably say fairly consistently.
Yeah, and you can probably play another vehicle as well. Like you can probably play an Arc or an Archangel as well, or a Fang Fighter.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to take apart in this list was the tips we got from the list last week, the Rose Jeddah Partisan list, is some of these vehicles could maybe... Obviously, he's got the one of Droid Tank, which I didn't actually ask whether that was sort of an intentional one of to avoid the flames of the past, which it probably is, or if it was just a one of to, like, accommodate for his collection or something. But I think... if Flames of the Past didn't exist, I would be questioning why he didn't run 2, right? But with Flames of the Past existing, I'm thinking that he's got blue in there. He could run the Dooku Solar Sailor instead of one of the Archangels or one of the Fang Fighters and just have a little bit more protection against that Flames of the Past.
At the moment, like looking at this list, you could be right about Flames of the Past, but like if you are, I would actually almost be dropping to one Pirate Speeder Tank and one Planetary Bombardment and swapping those out with some just lower cost, some other lower cost supports, or maybe a couple of upgrades, because that Flames of the Past will just ruin your day if he can get rid of a Planetary Bombardment for 2 or a Pirate Speeder Tank for 2.
I think the benefit of running 2 of the bigger supports would be that this deck has the potential to get them out on turn 1, and if you can, like, you've got to assume that your opponent's really only running one Flames of the Past, so if they find it in their opening hand and they mill your other one in your opening hand, then maybe you're screwed. But even if you get 2 resolves off of the dice, you get the round 1 resolve and maybe the round 2 resolve, that's paid for itself, right?
Yeah.
Like I think you've still got to keep the 2 of the bigger vehicles, just so that you can just have the threat of dropping them round 1, like in most of your games,
And I guess it depends how prevalent they think Mill's going to be.
Past is, yeah.
Like Mill is going to be. Like, I actually thought when you told me that you had this list, I thought I read somewhere Mill had won the Adelaide Greenlight Comics Store Champs. Maybe it came second. Maybe I misread it and it came second. But like, this is a deck that definitely packs a punch. And like it's one of those decks that's like beat me by round 4. Decks that's like beat me by round 4 or you lose.
Before I can resolve all of these dice.
Yeah. It's quite interesting, and maybe we'll just take a slight tangent, and I haven't prepped you for this or anything, but like looking at Snoke and how much of an enabler he is, and then people are crying out. Well, they're not crying out, but they're saying that the fix for the 3-wide mill deck is to bump Yoda by a point. Do you think that's super relevant? Like, I'm kind of the opinion that if they bump Yoda, they have to bump Snoke, because if they bump Yoda, everyone's just going to start playing Snoke, and then Snoke's just going to be the degenerate deck for the rest of the meta.
definitely that's definitely something to consider. I think the meta at the moment is kind of sort of the waters are muddied, so to speak, by the prevalence of mill and the fact that look, I've read probably 5 or 6 store champs winning lists that weren't the mill, and all of them said, "Oh, my worst matchup was mill." And I'm like, well, you won a store champ. Your worst matchup was mill, and this is the meta where everyone's playing mill. Like, I would say at the moment, if you took mill out of the meta, that would be the only way to see where these decks all sit in terms of each other. Like, we don't know if Plo Padawans beats Snoke Vehicles every time because both of them just get chumped by mill, and that's what we're all concerned by.
Yeah.
So maybe everything's really balanced if that mill deck just gets bumped. But then I would be concerned that decks like, Qui-Gon Yoda don't work, or Cassian Yoda struggles a bit more with the less resources at the start. Like, those damage decks that involve Yoda would be sort of unnecessarily hit.
Yeah.
But it does seem really strong, the mill.
It does, but I feel like there is another way to fix it than, like, I think balancing Yoda is gonna cause more problems than solve.
Yeah. I think all in all, Yoda's not the worst. And he's definitely play-aroundable as well. Like, he's beatable.
Well, with Snoke in the meta, like, before Snoke appeared, I could go, okay, I can understand why people have a problem with Yoda. But now, as soon as Snoke was released, it's kind of like, well, if you've got a problem with Yoda, you've got to have a problem with Snoke. Yeah.
But I think the fact that sort of both of these decks arose at the same time, like the 3-wide Snoke decks, this, or the Afra Battle Droid, or the, like, other versions of it, like 3-wide Snoke and 3-wide Yoda, these are interesting decks that Destiny hasn't really seen before, like where your main character, like, for example, what we were talking about just before, the Phasmaguavian Trooper deck is a 3-wide deck where your main character is a heavy hitter, right? Whereas Yoda and Snoke 3-wide lists are they are like a main character deck where your main character is just a wet noodle by themselves, Like, so I think they're a much more interesting style of deck, and I'm glad that they've come up sort of together.
Okay, well, congratulations, Christian, on your store champ win down at Greenlight Comics in Adelaide. And if anyone's in Australia is listening to this, please let us know if you've won a store champs or if you've got one coming up this weekend, so we can have a look at the winning deck list and have a chat about that on next week's episode. Any final thoughts on that store champ, Will?
I heard that Christian lost one game in Swiss to Mill, and apparently after that he went, undefeated through. I think he lost one game in one of the final series.
Okay.
Like a 1-1-1 situation where it sort of went with the battlefield, but he managed to get up on one of those battlefield wins, or like battlefield roll losses sort of thing. So yeah,
right.
Great job by Christian. It's a fantastic list. My final thought would be maybe to include more one-cost removal because you have all that ramp.
Yep.
But I guess if your ramp doesn't go off, you want to be spending all your money on those vehicles. So yeah, shout out to the TIE Fighters, and Lippis is the name of their training group. So,
okay, cool.
Good on them.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to one of our local store champs, which is happening on Saturday at Good Games Bondi Junction. Shout out to the team there. So I don't think I'm going to be able to make the store champs this weekend due to prior commitments. If it rains, I might be able to make it because the activities that are planned are outdoors. So we'll see what happens. But you were at your local night at Bondi Junction Good Games on Tuesday night. What was the field looking like, Will?
I think for the past few weeks, most people have sort of settled on a deck list that they want to bring, and they've been sort of playing it, like refining it, testing it. Um, and I think, yeah, for most people, they're pretty prepared. I think there's only a few people that are sitting around sort of still unsure, myself included. If you have a favorite deck, but it just like won't hold up against mill, do you take it in the mill meta sort of thing? But it looks really interesting, and it looks really broad.
So you're a massive advocate for Cassian Yoda.
Yeah, big fan. Been playing it for weeks.
Why would you not bring that this weekend?
It loses to mill almost every time. And yeah, it's a mill heavy meta, and I think, obviously some people are going to play mill, so but I am going to bring it. I think I'm going to play Yoda Cassian, because at the end of the day, I can't see myself having a good time if I take the mill list. I don't see myself having a good time if I take any other deck, really. So it's my home store champ. I won it last year, so I've got sort of supremely little to prove.
Well, you've got to defend your honor now.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to let my honor be taken away by dirty mill players now. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to play that deck, play for fun, and try and win some games with like 33 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah. So it's capped at 32 players, isn't it? How many people are we expecting this weekend?
Well, it's capped at 32. There's been some confusion around the cap, but I think, hopefully we'll get like 20 people.
Yep.
And if we get 20 people and we have, a good 6 rounds of Swiss, or 5 rounds of Swiss, then I'll be happy. I think that'll be a great day for everyone. Some of the decks that I've seen coming up will be like Luke Ray. I think there's a Plo Padawans that'll almost definitely be there. A DJ Phasma rather than a DJ Talzin, which I think is a really nice list. Yeah, I think it'll be a good day. I think Mill will probably win it, but everyone else will have a really good time too.
You could always take Mill, and we'll just nickname you like Mill Will.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. No, for the
your
record,
community appreciates that.
Yeah, for the record, I always encourage people to play the best deck. Like we talked about it last week. Like you should always just play the best deck, and if people are like, "Oh, why are you just playing the best deck? That's lame, bro." You should just be like, "Oh, I just want to win. Like that's why I'm here. I play for fun every week. This is my time to shine. I'm gonna try."
Yeah.
But that being said, the reason I'm not playing it is because I've decided that even if I play it and I win, I just won't enjoy the win. Right?
Yeah.
And it's been really hard to talk myself out of, like, because I am so competitive, it's been really hard to talk myself out of playing what I consider to be, like, hands down the best deck. But, I got there in the end. And so I'm just going to play my fun damage deck and, take the rain with the sun.
Yeah, it's the thing that just puts me off Mill and it being so popular, even though it might be the best deck, is just that mirror match. And I think the mirror match, it comes down to a 35-minute game of chess.
Yeah, or like a 10-minute game of chess.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I think a lot of people are clued on to how to beat Mill now, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of store champs where Mill isn't winning. Like, it's still making the top cut, but it's not winning. Like, a lot of people have clued on to take out Anakin as fast as possible, then move on to Cassian, so you can just kill those
second chances,
so you can
easy picking
second chances and all the spot yellow stuff, and then you can deal with Yoda afterwards.
Yeah, nothing feels worse than in like your last hand of the game or something, you roll out and you hit those big damage sides on your main character or whatever, and then they just get like easy picked.
Exactly.
Like, oh, this was my last round and I just lost like most of my damage.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to everyone at the Bondi Store Champs this weekend. We've got a few minutes left. One topic I wanted to talk about and this is just because this is something that I've experienced over the last week, is game burnout. So I actually haven't touched Destiny. If I look at my Steam, I haven't touched Destiny in about 10 days. So I haven't played any games, haven't logged on, haven't looked at like any new deck lists or modifying any decks that I've been working on, because after the last Store Champs, I just felt totally burnt out from all my testing, all my like prepping for the first two Store Champs, and knowing that probably not going to make this weekend, and the next one that I'm going to be able to make is at Good Games Epping in about 2 weeks' time. I've just suffered from a lot of mental fatigue of playing this game. And I've actually found myself rebooting up Pokemon TCG online and just like having a mental break from Destiny and just playing some Pokemon, which sounds weird, but
sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually been super, super refreshing. And yesterday I actually started looking at some decks again for Destiny because I felt like I'd taken enough of a break to be able to start the thought process of trying to combat the meta again. So I just thought we could briefly touch on game burnout and what's a healthy way to deal with a game that we play so passionately and competitively, but also the importance of taking a step back and can't think of the words I'm looking for. Taking a step back and just taking a breather, and recharging the batteries. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, Clint, we've talked about it before the show, obviously, but this is so much my area. Obviously, like I play a ton of games. Having that sort of big role in the community and trying to be that community organizer for our own little community at Bondi. I have to play sort of every week, and I say I have to. I don't play every week. I won't be playing next Tuesday, for example. I'll be looking after Maddie after she gets her wisdom teeth out. But I play almost
terrible.
Every week, and I've played almost every week for the better part of 2 years. Before I played Destiny, I actually played a different game called Destiny and other first-person shooters, and I played heaps of first-person shooters. I played upwards of sort of 2 hours a day, every day for, once again, almost 2 years. Didn't get very good. got okay. But the thing is, and then nowadays I work in, community services, community mental health and stuff like that. So, working in a stressful environment as well. This is something I have a lot of sort of passion about, is self-care and sort of reducing stress and burnout. Sound like I'm giving a talk at my work. But the main things that I think about are sort of taking breaks at the right time.
Yep.
Not sugarcoating bad experiences, and playing for... There's something I hate seeing written down, but you have to say it, is like playing for the right reasons.
Yep.
So the first part of that is taking breaks. This year when Monster Hunter World came out, I took like a 6-week hiatus from building decks, looking at Star Wars Destiny DB. I missed a few Tuesdays. I still went on most of them and just played the same deck every week. But I just played heaps and heaps of Monster Hunter and just reset my system.
Yep.
And I came back to Destiny and I was so ready. Right? I still had the same deck. I still had the same viewpoints. I still had the same amount of experience. But taking that break, just taking, take 5.
Yeah.
Just go and get a massage.
A mental massage.
Yeah. Go and watch some TV. There's so much good TV at the moment. But yeah, taking breaks. If you have an awful week at Destiny, don't force yourself to wake up the next morning and play more Destiny. Just go play some shooters. Go play some Street Fighter or something.
Yeah.
so taking breaks is really important, and that also applies like microscopically in game as well. If you're looking at your hand and you have like an all in and a quick draw and all this stuff, or like you're playing vehicles and you've got a whole hand of vehicles on turn one and you've just like played your C3PO, you're getting ready to ramp, and then you get hit with like a close quarters assault for 4 cards or something. Take a break, like take a minute to just like look at the board state, remind yourself that like this happens, and just like take a breath, move on. The second thing that I would say, what was it that I said before? Not sugarcoating losses. Now, some people will like, they'll be like, oh, I lost, but it was just because of this, or I lost and it was just because of, it's sort of like the antithesis of the blaming the dice thing. Like, is it okay to blame dice, or is it okay to not blame dice? And, you know, you can blame dice sometimes for sure. It's a card and dice game. There is variance, but at sometimes, like, you just have to be like, oh, I screwed up. Like, I made some bad decisions. I didn't understand the win condition of the deck I was playing against. And you can't like walk away from that and be like, I'm going to feel great about this. Some days you just have to walk home and just be like, life's not that hard. Like, allow yourself to be sad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly right. Like sometimes you just get like on a super bad losing streak, and it starts to really like affect you and your viewpoint of the game. And it might even be not a case of like you're playing a bad deck. Like, it could be a really good deck, but it's bad against the meta at the moment. But you start taking it a bit personally, going, oh, I'm just not winning the game. Have a break, start playing some other game just to cleanse your palate, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so you can refresh your mind to get back into the game a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, I cannot stress the importance of having a second game enough. Like, after 3.5 or 4 years of playing one primary game, like, all the time, having like a few good secondary games, usually games that have like, I find games that have like really short play times, or alternatively, if you're like a D&D or a big board game player, just having something where you can go, oh, this Sunday I'm going to go and play a big Euro with my mates, like a big Ticket to Ride or Game of Thrones board game or something. Like, just going to have a Settlers of Catan day and just go and play that all day, don't think about Destiny, and then come back refreshed. That's, yeah, it's really key.
And I think the other thing is planning, even if it is Destiny related, planning events that aren't competitive. So, for example, I think it's next Tuesday, or is it the Tuesday after? Good Games Bondi Junction, you've organised a B-Sides and Blasters event, which basically means none of the decks you can bring are competitive. They've got to use sort of like a lower tier character in the lineup.
Yeah, we have this list of like characters that you have to run in your list. Like, you have to run at least one character off this list, and the characters on that list are curated to make, like, if you include them, your list will be at least a little bit bad, you know?
Exactly. And that kind of brings back the fun, casual environment that Destiny is probably intended to be. It just happens to be that we're in a super hyper-competitive environment.
Yeah,
where
and that's
we can't.
great for the game. Like,
It is great for the game.
yeah, the more sort of the competitive environment is really good in a lot of ways. Like, it creates big events, it creates big prize pools and stuff like that. But yeah, you do have to be able to sort of take 5 and just play for fun, or play some of that like more casual, like less important characters.
Yeah.
Or just like, yeah, less played characters from the big Star Wars universe, because it's such a big universe.
I mean, everyone wants to play Luminara, don't they?
Yeah. Luminara was sick. She chopped those people up. But,
she'd be sick if she was 10-13.
Yeah, she should be. Yeah, my third point sort of plays into everything we just said about playing for the right reasons. I'm all for being really competitive and playing really competitively, but at the end of the day, like, even as a really competitive player who wants to win all the time, every loss doesn't have to be like the worst thing in the world. I would love to win all of my games, but if I lose to something that I think, and obviously that's subjective as well, but if I lose to something that I think is a fantastic play, then I try and focus on, man, like, that was really good. I'm so happy that it went off for that other person.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm sad. I lost. This is annoying.
Yeah.
But like, it's so good to watch other people, like, particularly if you've got new players or something and you just get chomped. It's like, well, wow, like, this person's like just discovered how fantastic their deck is, and they've just like minced someone. Like, yeah, the past 3 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I played the same people for the first and last round of Bondi, sort of weekly, and then I did it again this past week, and the exact same result. I won my first game, I won my middle game, and then I lost my third game, and it just felt really awful, sort of to have that, like, I came to play some new Destiny, and I just played exactly what I played 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But, you try and walk away from it, and you try and be like, well, I'm glad that those decks are so consistent, and that these people are like having fun exploring them as well and stuff like that. Yeah.
One person I have to say that is super positive, like, every time I play them, whether they win or lose, and are just happy, they're like super stoked for you if you win, is Jacob. Like, Jacob is like one of the most positive people like I ever played against, because I have a tendency to get not a tendency to get salty. Like, I take that losing is part of any game, but I tend to get a little bit salty when things are out of my control and they don't go my way. But Jacob, whether he wins or loses, or he like gets bad rolls, like, he's got this super amazing mindset that he is just positive and is always thinking like 3 or 4 steps ahead. Like, okay, right, I rolled bad. How do I get out of this? Rather than focusing on what the board state's showing, he focuses on what the board state's going to look in 3 turns' time. And that way, and I think because he does that, he doesn't let the current board state affect him or tilt him a little bit.
Yeah, I think Jacob really personifies what I was saying before about like, just be happy for the other person. Like,
exactly.
If they roll the nuts, like, he's always like, whoa, that's such a good roll. Like, that's amazing. Like, try and like channel that a little bit. Like, and you'll find yourself like getting hype for the other person as well. You'll be like, oh wow, like, this game's going so well for them. Like, you'll sort of forget the pain of like getting minced. But what you said about sort of thinking ahead as well, like, I had this game against Maddie a few, sort of 2 weeks ago, and it was the one game against Maddie I've won in the past like 5 weeks, where she just got ahead early, and so she's playing.
That's what happens when you bake your dice.
Yeah, just bacon everything, bacon cakes, bacon dice.
180 degrees for 2 minutes each side.
Yeah. She just like got ahead early, and I genuinely, I was sitting there and I was like, I have no way out of this.
Yeah.
Like, I am getting minced. And I just sat there and I just sort of like, I just tried to channel that like calmness, that like thinking ahead. And I was like, what do I need to do to win this game? And it got to like the last hand, and I had my second chance on my Cassian and stuff, and I had my like hand of 5 cards, which I drew, and I was like, all right, I've drawn no removal. I've got like 4 weapons in hand. Like, Maddie doesn't definitely know that, but my deck's milled. Like, she could check if she wanted, sort of thing. But she only had something like 3 health left on Ray, so I just had to roll out and get some damage, right?
Yeah.
Or even just get like 2 discard sides and then like an all-in or something like that. I think I had an all-in in hand. And I rolled out, and then she rolled out, and she just missed damage. and I was just like, this is just what I needed to happen. Like, I just
Yeah.
realized, like, I was like, if you just wait and just see, like, if she rolled out and she hit any damage, I would have just been minced, just been done. But I just sort of sat there and I was like, if I just keep my cool, don't throw in the towel, like, maybe she'll just miss. Maybe she'll just miss on, like, 5 dice with 50% damage sides. And she did. And I was like, oh, you know, sometimes it comes out.
It happens, because I do that quite regularly.
Yeah. An area of experience for you.
Yes, I'm quite well versed in rolling out non-damage sides on 5 dice that have 50% damage sides. Anyway, we are at 40 minutes, so we should...
record even for us.
Yeah, it is. We should probably close this up. Any last words for this week?
No, I think, just to reiterate the Burnout thing, like, there's so much practice for Store Champs going on. Once again, if anyone's listening from overseas, Store Champs is our premier event, so that's why we practice a lot. Yeah, just take breaks, don't sugarcoat losses, allow yourself to get upset and stuff, and just, like, play for the right reasons. Play for fun, play for, like, winning. You don't have to win every game. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to retract to last week's episode when we were talking about the Town Hall Store Champs. While we were talking about the results, I completely missed stating who won.
No way.
So, yeah, we both completely forgot to...
We just whiffed it.
We whiffed on mentioning the winner of the Town Hall Store Champs.
Which was, of course, Dave Michaels.
Which it definitely was not. The only mill deck not to make the top 4. Sorry, Dave. I think Dave's just going to be like our whipping horse for this podcast, because I think that's about the 3rd time we've mentioned last time we said something about him. He messaged me going, "Oh, thanks for the shout out, bro," even though it wasn't in a positive line.
He's just
anyway,
here.
Jacob. Yeah, exactly. Jacob, obviously, Team Destiny Down Under, Team Des Friends, took out Town Hall Store Champs with the 3-wide mill. It was a great showing for the Destiny Down Under team, because obviously Blake won the Perth Store Champs as well with Obi Mars. So Destiny Down Under hit 2 out of 3 people winning the Store Champs. But congrats to Jacob. Great job. How he managed to pull that off with his state of mind that day, I have zero idea. But it just goes to show how great a player Jacob is as well.
Yeah. Super great guy, super great player.
Yeah.
Deserved the win.
I always love playing against Jacob, because I always learn something new, and he actually makes me play better.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I know that what he's thinking about, I think I've played against him enough now to know what he's thinking about and how I need to outplay him.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that just about does it. Thanks for spending the last 40 minutes with me, Will.
No worries, I'll do it again next week.
We'll do it again next week. And everyone else, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.